Tomorrow I'm getting married, and Mom, don't come back home. I've already sold the house and the car. That was how my only son announced his wedding, and erased me from his life. I sacrificed my whole life for him. But that night, I stood alone in the street, without a home, without a car, left only with one painful truth. I had just been betrayed and left with nothing by my own son. That evening, I had just turned off the stove when my phone buzzed. I looked at the screen and saw Clytus's number, my only son. I quickly wiped my hands on a kitchen towel and picked up the call with a bit of joy. Son, why are you calling so late today? Is everything okay? I asked, my voice low and warm. On the other end, Clytus was silent for a few seconds. I could hear his rapid breathing through the line. Then his voice came through cold, so cold I gripped the phone tighter. I'm getting married tomorrow, Mom. The wedding will be held at St. Peter's Church. I froze. My heart pounded wildly. I thought I had misheard. Married tomorrow? Are you serious? You never even mentioned a girl to me. This is... Clytus cut me off, his tone firm, as if he had rehearsed it. Don't worry, Mom. I've got it all covered. Oh, and one more thing. I sold your house and your car. There's no need for you to go back. The locks have been changed. I stood frozen. His words hit me like a boulder straight to the chest. The small kitchen spun around me. The warm ceiling light blurred. Clytus, what did you just say? You sold my house and car? How could you do that? That's everything I have. You'll understand someday. I needed the money to start a new life with Heather. I have to go now. Don't come to the wedding if you don't want any trouble. Beep. The line went dead. I stood there, my hand trembling, nearly dropping the phone. I sat down, my body limp as if all strength had left me. My mind was blank, echoing only his cold words. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay on the small sofa, staring blankly at the ceiling. So many questions spiraled in my head. What was Clytus thinking? Why would he do this to his own mother? Near dawn, I stood up, put on my thickest coat, and drove my old pickup truck toward what used to be my house. I needed to see it with my own eyes. When I arrived, my heart clenched. The gate was locked with a new padlock. Even the house number plate had been taken down and replaced with a new one. A strange man stepped out, looking annoyed. Who are you looking for? This is my house. I bought it last week. I stammered. Your house? No, this is my house. I've lived here for over 20 years. How could? The man handed me a sales contract with Clytus's signature as the legal owner. I felt blood rush to my head. I stepped back, unable to believe what I was seeing. I drove back in silence. Morning traffic had begun to pick up, the streets buzzing with noise, but to me, it all felt disconnected. Sitting in the car, I looked down at my trembling hands. The house, where my husband and I had built every brick, where Clytus grew up, was now in someone else's hands. The most painful part was knowing that Clytus, my only son, was the one who did this. I remembered the night Clytus graduated high school. He hugged me tight and said, I promise I'll never let you down. That promise now felt like a cruel joke. I asked myself, did I raise him wrong? Or did I just trust too much? The wind slipped through the cracks in the car, icy and sharp. I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. I knew I couldn't just sit still. I looked around the small kitchen in my memory, the place that had been mine for over 20 years. The worn-out dining table, the photo of my late husband hanging in the corner, the old ticking pendulum clock. Everything still existed vividly in my mind, but Clytus said it was sold. No way, I whispered, telling myself my son was just angry or bluffing. But deep inside, a vague fear crept in. I remembered 2 years ago when I was hospitalized after a stroke. Clytus had convinced me to sign a power of attorney so he could temporarily manage the house and bank accounts. At that time, I trusted him completely. Clytus was my only flesh and blood. How could I have doubted him? Looking back now, the long absences, the cold phone calls, the growing distance, it all felt terrifying. I stepped out onto the porch. The night wind was biting cold. I reached into my coat pocket for the gate key, but then I remembered. Clytus had changed the locks. His words earlier felt like a silent knife slicing deeper into my heart. I thought of James, the lawyer, who helped me draft the power of attorney. I decided I had to see James today. On the way, my phone buzzed. A text message from an unknown number. Don't come to the wedding if you don't want to be humiliated. I gripped the steering wheel tighter, lips trembling. I didn't reply. I just pressed harder on the gas. For the first time in years, a deep anger stirred in my chest. This wasn't just about a house or a car. This was about dignity, a lifetime of effort, and the betrayal of my own blood. I knew I had to stand up, even if I didn't yet know where to begin. I stopped the car in front of James's law office before sunrise. I sat there for a long while, breathing deeply to calm myself before stepping out. My clenched hands gripped whatever strength I had left. James was a man in his 60s who had helped me several times with legal matters after my husband died. When he saw me walk in, pale and shaken, his brow furrowed. "Sierra, you don't look well. What's going on?" I told him everything that had happened the night before, word by word. When I got to the part about Clytus selling the house and the car, my voice broke. James didn't interrupt. He quietly took notes, then got up and pulled an old file from his metal cabinet. "This is the power of attorney you signed for Clytus 2 years ago when you were hospitalized," he said, voice grave. "It gave him full authority to manage, buy, sell, and transfer your property. You remember I explained it in detail back then?" I nodded, heart pounding. I remember. I trusted him completely back then. I never thought this day would come. James sighed. On paper, Clytus had full legal rights to sell the house and the car. But if he abused that power to take advantage of you, we can file a lawsuit. We'll have to prove that you didn't know, didn't consent, and that his actions caused you harm. I stayed silent. James's words felt like a thin rope I could hold onto. "What do I need to do?" I asked. "Gather evidence. Anything that proves Clytus abused your trust. Texts, recordings, statements from the buyer, even people who know him. Sierra, this won't be easy, but if you stay patient, we'll have a chance." I nodded firmly. I knew there was no turning back. Back from the law office, I sat at my table and opened a small notebook. I wrote down every task I needed to do, every name I had to contact. Alone in the empty room, I told myself to stay calm. First, I called my old neighbor, Mrs. Lynn, to ask about the house sale. Mrs. Lynn said that a few weeks ago, she saw Clytus bring a young couple to see the house. But she assumed I had agreed to sell and didn't ask further. "Sierra, I'm truly sorry. If only I had known," her voice trembled. "It's okay, Lynn. I just need you to testify if needed," I replied. Next, I contacted the buyer, Mr. Reed, the man I had met at the gate that morning. At first, Mr. Reed was annoyed, but after I explained everything, he agreed to cooperate. I bought the house legally, with full paperwork. But if this really was a scam, I'll testify. I don't want to be involved in anything illegal. I felt a small spark of hope. I started calling Clytus, but he didn't pick up. I left him a message. "Clytus, I just want to talk. Please call me back. Don't let this go too far." No response. 3 days later, I got a text from an unknown number. "I want to meet you. Don't tell Clytus." I knew immediately it was Heather, the woman Clytus was about to marry. I drove to a small cafe on the edge of town, just as the message instructed. Heather was already there, waiting, looking tense. "What do you want from me?" I asked, my voice slow but firm. Heather glanced around, then spoke softly. "Clytus isn't the man you think he is. I found out about the house and the car sale. All the money is now in a joint account with him and me. But I'm starting to realize he's not just scamming you, he's scamming me too." I sat still, my eyes fixed on Heather's face. "He says he loves me, but he only wants to use me. I found out he's been withdrawing money from our joint account to invest in some shady project. If it fails, both you and I will lose everything. I don't want to be a victim anymore." Heather opened her bag and placed an envelope on the table. "These are bank statements and messages he sent to another woman. You'll know what to do with them. I took the envelope, looking her straight in the eye. Why are you helping me? Because I refuse to let my life be ruined by someone like Clytus. I'm no saint, but at least I know when to stop before it's too late. Back home, I opened the envelope. The bank statements and the flood of messages from Clytus filled me with pain and rage. My son hadn't just betrayed his mother, he had used Heather too, all to feed his ambition. I called James immediately. When I told him about my meeting with Heather, he replied firmly, "This is crucial evidence. We'll file a motion to freeze the account before Clytus can drain it. But Sierra, be ready to confront him. This won't be easy." I sat quietly for a moment. Inside me was a storm of pain and resolve. I no longer recognized the boy who once clung to me after losing his mother. "James," I said softly but clearly, "I won't let him destroy everything I built. I will take back what's mine legally, no matter what it takes." News of Clytus marrying Heather spread through town. Though Heather quietly stepped away, Clytus didn't cancel the wedding. He replaced her with another woman, a stranger, and still held the ceremony with a calm face. That morning, I stood before the mirror, staring at my graying hair and sleepless eyes. I put on my old blazer and took a deep breath. I didn't plan to cause a scene, but I knew this was my one chance to reveal the truth in front of everyone. James was waiting outside, holding a thick folder in his hand. "Are you ready, Sierra?" "Yes," I answered, my voice low but steady with determination. I stepped out the door, knowing that once the church doors opened, my life would never be the same. St. Peter's Church was lavishly decorated on Clytus's wedding day. White ribbons wrapped around the gate, and hundreds of guests entered in elegant attire. From outside, cheerful music filled the air, but it couldn't drown out the pounding of my heart. I paused for a few seconds at the main entrance and took a deep breath. James stood beside me, still holding the folder. "Remember, Sierra, timing and words. Everything is in your hands now." I nodded and stepped through the heavy door. Inside, Clytus stood at the front, beside a young bride I had never seen before. When Clytus's eyes met mine, he hesitated briefly but quickly returned to a calm expression. "What is she doing here?" I clearly heard Clytus whisper to the pastor in irritation. But I didn't care. Just as the pastor was about to begin the ceremony, I stepped forward, my voice calm but clear. "Excuse me, everyone. I need to say a few words before this ceremony begins." The entire room stirred. Clytus rushed forward, trying to suppress his anger. "Mom, this is not the place for a scene. Leave now." I didn't look at my son. Instead, I scanned the crowd. "My name is Sierra. I am the groom's mother. I lost my wife and gave everything I had to raise this one child. And now, I must stand here to reveal the truth." I signaled to James. He opened the folder, pulling out account statements, sale documents, and an audio recording of Clytus's call to me that night. Clytus's voice echoed through the speaker. "Tomorrow I'm getting married. I've already sold your house and car. Don't bother going back to the old place." The church fell silent. I stood firm, eyes locked on Clytus. My son exploited the power of attorney I signed while hospitalized to seize all my assets. He sold everything and left his mother homeless. I'm not here for pity. I just want you all to know the man standing here today is not as trustworthy as you think. The young bride froze, stepping back. Guests began to murmur, some standing up from their seats. Clytus's face turned red. He shouted, "You're lying, Mom. You're trying to ruin my life." James calmly held out a court-issued order to freeze Clytus's accounts. "We have sufficient evidence. His accounts will be frozen immediately, and a case for asset misappropriation will begin in a few days." Clytus began sweating, eyes darting around for an escape. The bride threw her veil to the floor and turned away in tears. "You lied to me? I want nothing to do with you." Some guests stood up and condemned him. Others quietly left. Clytus turned to me, eyes blazing. "Mom, you traitor. Why would you do this to me?" I looked him in the eye, my voice choked but resolute. "I didn't betray you. You betrayed me, and everything this family once stood for. I'm only taking back what's mine. Clytus threw the microphone on the floor and ran out the back door. But no one cared about him anymore. A month later, the trial ended. I won the case. All the money Clytus had gained from selling the house and car was seized and returned to me. I didn't return to the old house. Instead, I bought a smaller home in a quiet suburb. On moving day, I stood alone in the yard, looking up at the clear sky. At the doorstep, I planted a young maple tree, slowly covering its roots with soil. It was fragile now, but I knew it would grow strong, just like I would after all these losses. James stopped by with a final set of documents and smiled. You did it, Sierra. I hope Clytus comes to his senses someday. I nodded slightly, saying nothing. Looking at my late husband's photo on the altar, I whispered, I did it. I'm still standing. Life can take so much from us, wealth, homes, even loved ones. But if we hold on to our dignity and strength, we can still rise. I closed the door. The afternoon sun stretched across the new room. Life would go on. Clytus was no longer by my side, but at least I had reclaimed what was mine. And more importantly, I had reclaimed myself.